Good afternoon. It's McCollum on Business. I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world. Well, it's Monday, a holiday week. Christmas is here just in a couple days. So, it's a short week for us, and then we're taking the rest of the year off here at McCollum on Business. Markets are going to slow down. If we're around, going to go on vacation here next week, but if we're around, maybe we'll throw up a show here after today to kind of hit the market if big things happen around the business world out there. But last show of the year here is today and everything. And like I said, unless there's an emergency out there for McCollum on Business, the main event is going to keep happening tomorrow and then Friday, possibly, and then Monday, Tuesday of next week before it's off for the rest of the year. Leading into Monday the 5th is when we will be back. And let's finish up strong here with the Market Watch. It's like I said, everybody goes on vacation this time of year and volume shrinks. Not a lot of movements out there. People do sell a lot with options, tax reasons here going into the new year. So you will see some fluctuations happening in the market over the time that it is open here with the holidays coming up. Like, for instance, it's open today, open tomorrow, half day on Wednesday for the market, off Thursday, of course, and Friday. Same kind of a thing for next week with the New Year's holiday. And today, well, it's all positive. 270 points up for the Dow Jones, S&P 500 up to 39 points. The Nasdaq's up to 144, and the Russell 2K, that small cap index, up 28 points. Bitcoin, well, got some little bit of a bump here today based off of option trade. Some options were expiring, and people were exercising those options. Did get up to 90,000 at one point earlier today, but right now it's at 89,256 for Bitcoin right now. Now, question is it going to close closer to 90? Is it going to close closer to 85,000 for the year? Well, we'll find that out here over the next couple weeks. Stocks that we are paying attention to right now, first stock we're going to look at is Maple Bear out there. Instacart. For those of you that don't know what Maple Bear is, we have a story coming up for you, a follow-up story on their pricing module that they have here in just a few minutes. But their stock's down 2.15%. And the story is going to basically tell you that the Instacart said it would end the use of that artificial intelligence pricing program that they use there. For them, where a bunch of people, studies were done, and a bunch of people were being charged different pricing for the same items from the same stores. The pricing test was very controversial and things, and we'll talk more about that here coming up in the story, but they're ending that pricing note. Well, obviously, investors aren't happy about that because it means less income for them, and they were overcharging people. Well, they're down 2.11% here today by ending that practice. Story upcoming for you. Another story we got coming your way. Well, let's look at Warner Brothers Discovery stock here first. Obviously, in the process of being sold right now to Netflix is the plan. They're up 3.51% right now on the day. Why are they up today? Well, we'll throw Paramount Skydance stock up here next. Paramount Skydance said it guaranteed that Larry Ellison, the Oracle founder, he would back the amended offer for the HBO parent. So remember, this was a follow-up. They're doing the hostile takeover, and Warner Brothers Discovery was kind of telling their board, reject that offer because of the way it was structured with no personal guarantees by Larry Ellison and his family. Well, now they're coming back now and saying they've amended the offer, and Larry Ellison is going to personally finance that $40 billion. That story is coming your way as well. And since Netflix is the one right now in the process of the winner, I should say, of buying Warner Brothers Discovery, we have a story on what they're doing getting ready for that purchase. Let's throw up Netflix stock real quick as well. And so they're the ones that are down in this process, 0.94% down here today based off. So Warner Brothers Discovery up, Paramount Skydance up today based off of that news. Netflix down a little bit. So we have a Warner Brothers Discovery, specifically Paramount Skydance update for you. Some more details here on Larry Ellison backing that deal personally, and also what Netflix is doing to prepare to buy Warner Brothers Discovery. Those stories are coming your way here in just a couple minutes. When we come back later and look at stocks here on this Monday, we're going to look at UniFirst. For them, they are a workwear company out there. And then Tesla's in the news today, as well as First Solar, local First solar company. We'll look at them as well coming up in just a little bit when we come back and look at stocks. But first, let's get into a few of these stories. And, as I said, we do have the Paramount Skydance update as well as Netflix update and Instacart. Some more details on that. But first, if you remember last week, President Trump did have his presidential address out there. And he did say in that time that the administration expects the largest tax refund season of all time, was his quote. And he's talking about this spring coming up. President Trump also claimed many families would save between $11,000 and $20,000 a year based off of the big beautiful bill out there. We know Secretary Treasury Bessent. We know he was out there a couple weekends ago, also talking about how the market is seeing some rebound. The tax credits or the tax refunds coming to everybody in the market because of that tax bill are going to be large. Well, now on a follow up to that, National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett, who, by the way, is the one that's the favorite right now to take over as Fed chairman, as Jerome Powell is ending his tenure here early in 2026. Well, Kevin Hassett has backed up the claim that President Trump said last Wednesday. He's even pushed back against sentiment from the recent Fox News poll that's out there. That Fox News poll, if you don't know, 44% of those surveyed said they're falling behind financially. 74% view the economy as not so good or even bad in those levels as well. So that's majority of the country with those feelings and viewpoints. Well, Hassan said that we are going to see the biggest refund cycle ever in the history of America. People are going to get massive refund checks. He said, we also went on to say, we're experiencing just that part of it alone to be worth a couple $1,000 refund. He said the numbers are striking. He told all this to Varney there, Stuart Varney on Fox Business over the weekend. So Trump administration really pushing that narrative out here about large tax refunds for you as a U.S. citizen when you file your taxes here coming up at the beginning of next year. I hope that's true. I really do hope it's true for everybody out there as well. And then on Friday, President Trump did come out and said 9 drug makers have agreed to lower the cost of their prescription drugs in the United States. Big, huge companies out there: Amgen, Bristol Myers Squibb, Boehringer Ingelheim, Genentech, Gilead Sciences, GSK, Merck, Novartis, even Sanofi are the 9. They say they will rein in Medicaid drug prices to match what they charged other developed countries. If you don't know, United States gets charged a lot more for drugs than our counterparts in other parts of the world out there. As part of this deal, new drugs made by these companies, they'll also be charged at the most favored nation pricing across the country on any newly launched medications for everyone. That does include commercial and cash pay markets as well as Medicare and Medicaid. So even if you're not on Medicare or Medicaid, you pay cash for your drugs, right? Lower prices coming your way. Drug prices for patients in the U.S., they can depend on a number of factors. A lot of factors that we just can't control as consumers, right? Competition and treatment faces. The competition that they do can drive up or lower the price of the drugs. And insurance coverage obviously affects the price of the drugs as well for you. Most people do have coverage through work. The individual insurance market or government programs like Medicaid or Medicare, well, they shield them from much of the cost, of those increases on drugs. But people without insurance or individual insurance have to pay the higher prices. Patients in Medicaid, and Medicaid, if you don't know, is a state federally funded program. People with low incomes, the people on Medicaid do pay a nominal copayment of a few dollars to fill their prescriptions. Lower prices, though, could help state budgets actually, the state budgets themselves, get a little bit easier to fund the programs with those lower prices. Lower drug prices will also help patients who have no insurance coverage, little leverage to negotiate better deals on what you pay. But even steep discounts of 50% found through the administration's website, well, 50% discount could still leave patients paying hundreds of dollars a month for some of your prescriptions out there. That's with a 50% discount as well out there. So 9 drug makers agreeing to lower their prices on those drugs as well. So a couple interesting updates here from the government perspective that'll affect you and obviously the business world with those drug markets as well out there. And now let's get to the follow-ups up there that we already talked about. We showed you the Warner Brothers, Paramount, Skydance, and Netflix stocks here to begin the show. So this story here, comes up here because Warner Brothers asked its shareholders to reject that $108.4 billion offer from Paramount Skydance for the whole company of Warner Brothers Discovery. That includes the cable TV assets, the streaming packages, and everything. Whereas Netflix wants to spin off that cable TV side, right? So they asked the board to reject it on doubts over financing and the lack of a full guarantee, specifically from the Ellison family, right? Well, the Oracle co-founder, Larry Ellison, he stepped in to personally guarantee $40.4 billion in Paramount Skydance's latest effort to hostile takeover here of Warner Brothers Discovery away from, selling all of those assets there to Netflix. So now kind of changed it to a guarantee after that rejection. The guarantee was disclosed in a filing earlier today. It seeks to basically be friendly with the Warner Brothers board's doubts that Paramount's financing and the lack of full Ellison family backing, kind of ease the unknowns of that were out there and why they wanted to reject at that point. So, Ellison family had pushed towards competing cash and stock offer from Netflix as they kind of upped that deal. But Paramount did say the amended terms do not change the dollar amount of it, just the guarantee side. So it's a $30 per share all cash offer there as for this hostile takeover is what they're trying to do. So, obviously there's a big catalog of library here for Warner Brothers materials. That's why Netflix wants their streaming side of things and everything. And whoever wins this bid, which Netflix right now is the front runner to win it since they have the deal, is going to increase their viewing and catalog and everything important here. The winners, this is a big deal to this industry. So these revised terms we're talking about. Ellison agreed not to revoke the family trust or transfer its assets during the pendency of the transaction. This is all legal filing, so this is stuff that he's saying he cannot do. Paramount said it has raised its regulatory reverse termination fee to $5.8 billion. Well, it was at $5 billion before. They're doing that to match the competing transaction and extended the expiration date of its tender offer to January 21st of 2026. Paramount Discovery, well, getting a little bit more nasty here in this hostile takeover bid. And the big complaint was, where's the backing? It's an irrevocable trust. Well, the Ellison family said, it's okay, we'll guarantee it personally, $40 billion of it. So we'll have to keep our eyes on this. And does the Warner Brothers board switch the purchase agreement here over to Paramount Skydance instead of Netflix coming up? Netflix doesn't think they're going to. And why do we know that? Well, because Netflix is getting ready to figure out how to do its financing and everything. Basically, the foundation for this large deal to buy Warner Brothers Discovery Studios. And like I said, they're breaking this company up here. Netflix is going to do that. So it's the studios and HBO Max streaming service is what Netflix specifically wants. Whereas Paramount Skydance, well, they want the whole company complete to come over to them. So Netflix is securing up to a $25 billion in bank financing to fund the purchase. Netflix did enter into a $5 billion senior unsecured revolving credit facility, 2 senior unsecured delayed draw term loan facilities totaling $20 billion. So they filed all this with the Securities and Exchange Commission. So, all of these are all legal stuff that both Paramount and Netflix are doing here. Netflix bank loans will leave it at an additional $34 billion in financing that the banks would sell as bonds. The new financing does include a revolving credit facility that could mature 3 years after the deal closes. The date that it is terminated, or even by December 19th of 2030, whichever occurs earliest. Netflix can use those proceeds to fund the deal, pay related fees and expenses, even refinance debt, and for general corporate purposes, according to the SEC filing here. So even Netflix is moving ahead on this deal, Ooh, a lot of stuff happening here with the purchase of Warner Brothers Discovery. So there's the nearest update for you here on this Monday. And then let's we showed you Maple Bear stock earlier, and let's get you more details on that story. And Maple Bear is Instacart, and Maple Bear is the parent company and what it trades under. Well, Instacart did come out this morning and said they're ending that program where some customers saw different prices for same product ordered at the same time from the same store. Yeah, when using Instacart. We told you about this here a week or so ago here on the program. And now this Instacart program was meant to help grocers and other retailers learn more about what kind of prices customers would pay for items. Similar to how stores offer different prices for the same products at different locations. But it has raised alarms after a report from Consumer Reports and two progressive advocacy groups out there. We told you about this study, right? Groundwork Collaborative and More Perfect Union. Well, they said that Instacart offered nearly 3 out of 4 grocery items to shoppers at multiple price points in that big experiment that they did. And we told you about that. Like I said, a week and a half ago or so here at McCollum on Business. Retailers will continue to set their own prices on delivery website. They even may still offer different prices at different brick and mortar locations. That happens across the retail world. You go into one Kohl's in Scottsdale, might be a little bit more pricey than a Kohl's like in another part of town out there. I don't want to be insulting to another part of town, but Instacart did say from now on, Instacart will not support any item price testing services. Instacart said these services were neither dynamic pricing. Dynamic pricing is what Uber, Lyft do as well. Prices go up when demand is high. And they also said it wasn't surveillance pricing either. That's where prices can be set based on a user's income, shopping history, or other personal information, which is what they are accused of dealing with, by the way. Seeing your information and seeing you make more money, for instance, where you live. They were looking at that before giving you those higher prices. But Instacart did say it was offered to customers at random, is what they claim was happening. But that survey did show people with lesser income were being charged lower prices. They deny it, of course, and we'll have to see if a lawsuit comes out on that. But at least they're stopping using that surface, moving now, and their stock is down today. What was that, about 2% earlier when we looked at that stock as well? Hey, if you're a big fan of Kentucky bourbon, let's just say Jim Beam, for instance. Well, the maker there has paused operations at its main distillery for an indefinite period beginning in January of 2026. Now, why? Are they going out of business? Actually, it's to upgrade the facility. So my point here is don't panic, Jim Beam fans. Yes, the distillery on the James B. Bean campus over there in Claremont, Kentucky. It's going to remain closed while officials with Bean Suntory take the opportunity to invest in site enhancements. So it's not the end of the world, folks. Still being produced, doing enhancing it a little bit. The company's Fred B. No Craft Distillery, that's also over there in Claremont, Kentucky. It will remain open in 2026. Operations will also continue into the Booker No Distillery, that's over there in Boston, Kentucky. Company officials said the Claremont campus visitor center and a restaurant, that's called the Kitchen Table there, will be open throughout 2026 as well. So they say indefinitely. They say they're making improvements. Are you guys like me? Are you a little skeptical on this? They're shutting it down for improvements, maybe? Or are they shutting it down because um, money reasons and indefinitely? And we'll see if the market comes back. We'll have to wait and see on that, but still producing it in other places. So you're not going to run out of your Jim Beam there, fans, hopefully, coming up on your side. An interesting story here as well is remember the death of bookstores? It's a very popular notion here as Amazon started selling books over the internet. Nobody was going to bookstores anymore. Well, Barnes and Noble's opening more stores coming up here in 2026. Yeah, so and I was in a Barnes and Noble last week on that Wednesday. Wednesday I took off last week for the dentist thing with my daughter. We went to Barnes and Noble and it was packed at 11 o'clock in the morning. But the 2 decades ago, right when the internet was all the craze and people were just ordering books that way. About 2 decades ago is when that was happening. Barnes and Noble and all the bookstores were having declining store numbers and being hurt in huge ways. Barnes and Noble is going to open, as I said, 60 new locations across the country in 2026. They opened dozens of stores this year as well. So details are still being worked out as far as locations and grand opening dates, but the expansion does follow the period of strong sales in existing stores for Barnes& and Noble as well, or as I call it, the Noble. Yeah, shorten that up a little bit. According to a list contained by USA Today, the bookstore does plan to open stores in Ohio, Texas, Florida, Illinois, Colorado, Washington State, California, Virginia, Georgia, and D.C. Several openings in most of these states as well between now and June 2026 for Barnes& and Noble. So I know we're based out of Arizona, but the death of the bookstore is greatly exaggerated out there. Is Barnes& and Noble going through an expansion right here now in the United States? And folks, and there's just something about going into a bookstore, looking at a book, flipping through the pages, reading it there. I don't know. There's something about that as opposed to, just ordering a book online. And I enjoy the book site. I can tell you they get busy at times when you go into. I go to the one at the Santan Mall quite frequently with my daughter and everything. And folks, when we come back here at McCollum on Business, we keep this rolling as well. Probably our last show of the year, unless there's some breaking news out there that we throw a show on coming up here for McCollum on Business. So we're going to finish up strong here. Come on back, folks. McCollum on Business, Monday edition. And we're back here, McCollum on Business. Appreciate you joining me here on this Monday. Don't forget, we're here today on Monday. McCollum on Business, well, it's going to be off here the rest of the week, unless something crazy breaks out there. Starting tomorrow, we're getting some sets done around here, moving some stuff around over the holiday weekends, and right after the main event ends up. It's going to be loud, noisy in here, so today is the last show of McCollum on Business for this week out there. Unless something crazy happens and breaks, we'll come on air and go. But look, it's just a dead time of the year. Volumes are down as well out there. Of course, you got the Real Matrix. New episode coming out this Wednesday as well here at Robat TV. Just click on the channel there. You'll pop it up. Got 13 episodes up there right now. We're going to continue to keep the hour-long program here at Robat TV. Then you can follow that, of course, on the YouTube page as well. We're going to be breaking that up into two parts, right? First half, second half of the shows. That'll be being done over the next week or so as well. And there's a free podcast of The Real Matrix as well. I'm already into those two parts for you, for those of you that rather listen to that programming out there. This Wednesday, another new show is coming out on Wednesday at noon here at Robat TV. We're going to put it out Christmas Eve. The Angry Patriot would love for you to join him. Ratings on Robat are already up through the roof. And get the YouTube and the podcast version up as well here. The Angry Patriot just asks that you join in and watch him with an open mind and see what they have to say as he's trying to open your mind to the way the world is working out there as well. Catch that. Of course, the main event is here today and tomorrow morning, 8 to 10 a.m. And then they'll be back on Friday, Monday, Tuesday next week before it's off for the rest of the year as well. Until that was at the 5th of that Monday of January is when all the programming will be back here as well. For that, the pit stop on hiatus until end of January, beginning of February. Not a lot of details here on that settlement yet, other than what we know. So I haven't had to do an emergency show yet, but catch at the Pit Stop Talk is where you can follow me on the social medias. For the racing talk out there, of course, Robat TV, YouTube page, free podcast as well at the Pit Stop Talk. Get ready here for this upcoming racing season coming your way here as well for the pits. And we're making some changes. We're going to do more. We dabbled on Indy. We dabbled on F1 last year. We're going to change that show up a little bit here and add more of that style of racing here as well as we just have some fun on the racing side of things. And, of course, this show. This is my passion project show. And we're going to be redoing some sets and things. So that's why we're going on hiatus for the rest of the year here. We're toying with the idea of changing some times on this as well, but we'll get into that in the new year for you. And we're just trying to improve this show out there as well as we go into the new year to get you your business stuff. We appreciate you following me along as well. Robat TV on demand as soon as we're done, live here at 11 o'clock. Then we got the YouTube page, of course. No podcast for this show at all, but folks, you can catch us out there for all of your business news. And don't forget, we got other programming possibly coming your way here coming up in the beginning of the new year. We got a lot of conversations happening. We'll have to see what happens from that perspective. And we appreciate you joining us and coming along this road with us out there. And folks, with all that being said, let's finish up strong here on this Monday and for the year here at McCollum on Business. One more look at that market watch. Shortened week. Volumes are going to be down with everybody going on vacation. Movement will happen as people are working on tax write-offs, selling some losses to counteract some of their wins and options expiring like Bitcoin. That's one reason Bitcoin's up at that 89,340 here today. Options are being called in, driving that up a little bit. It was at 90,000 for a little bit earlier today. Everything else is up as well. Dow Jones up 239 points right now. S&P 500 up to 37. Nasdaq's up 118 points. And then the Russell 2K, that small cap index, a local company was added to that. I got that story coming your way as well. 24 points up for the Russell 2K here today. Tech is what's leading this uphill trend here after AI and tech has been kind of down here the last couple of weeks or so. For the stock market. So overall, we're finishing, at least for our portion of the show, up in a high here on this Monday. Stocks that we are paying attention to right now, first off, we're going to look at UniFirst out there. If you don't know UniFirst, they're a similar company to like Cintas would be a good example of a competitor. UniFirst is up 18.70% here today. And why? Well, Cintas submitted a bid to acquire UniFirst. They're both workwear companies, competitors in this field. And Cintas submitted a bid to buy UniFirst. UniFirst is up that 19.09% based off of that. Cintas is making the offer of $275 per share in cash. You can see there, folks, right now with the drive up of 19% up for UniFirst at $202, making a cash offer at $275. That's quite the premium markup here, that Cintas, because that's implying a total value of about $5.2 billion as well. If you want to get to percentages, that's about a 64% premium to UniFirst's 90-day average closing price as of December 11th. Yeah, Cintas shares, by the way, I don't have the graph for you. They are up about 3% here today. But Cintas making a very aggressive and generous offer here for UniFirst Corporation. And UniFirst up 18.71% here today. Now let's look at something we haven't looked at in a while. Tesla, folks. You guys know them, right? The cars, battery manufacturer, etc. Well, it's up 2.51% right now. Well, the Delaware Supreme Court came out on Friday of last week. Yes, and they overruled a lower court's decision to void Elon Musk's pay package. This is that controversial one that's been in the court systems for a while out there. This is the one that had about 300 million stock options for Elon Musk and were several $1 billion. Tesla shares have actually been outperforming other Magnificent Seven stocks here just in this month alone. So 15% gain for Tesla just here in December by itself. And Tesla was a struggling stock all year with the political stuff that Elon Musk got into and all that fun stuff. So at least in December, 15% gain so far and up today 2.51% right now to look it up again on that Supreme Court, overruling that lower court's decision. Now, let's talk about a little local company here that's in the solar business as well. First Solar is what we're going to look at in terms of stocks. 5.59% up right now for it. Well, Google, Alphabet, basically Google's parent company. Well, they said it would acquire Intersect, a company called Intersect, for $4.75 billion in cash and debt. Well, why does Alphabet buying a company called Intersect for $4.75 billion in cash and debt mean anything for First Solar? Well, simple. First Solar is a supplier and the biggest supplier of solar modules to Intersect itself. If Alphabet is buying a company for $4.75 billion in cash and debt, that means they're going to keep using that company and possibly expand it out there. Obviously means more business here coming up for First Solar. They're up 5.39% here today based off of that Alphabet news out there. Now, we got some sports stories coming here as well. But first, right, it's the end of the year, right? Taxes are coming up. January 1st is the cutoff. What a lot of people do charitable contributions this time of year, right? Offset some gains that you have and money that you made and avoid taxes. Well, what we're finding out is most Americans aren't making any of those end of year charitable giving plans. This is all according to the results of a new AP NORC poll out there. So many fundraising appeals are out there by nonprofits. They're begging people for money. And they rely on the donations surges specifically in December because of the holidays and everybody's willingness to give out there. This is where these nonprofits make their budget targets that they need to hit here at the end of the year. So this survey, it was conducted in early December. Like I said, AP NORC, the Associated Press, NORC Center for Public Affairs Research is the actual company name. But it found that about half of U.S. adults said they've already made their charitable contributions for 2025. 18% say they've donated and will donate again before the year is over. Only 6% report they haven't given yet, but will do so by December's end. The rest, that makes it to about 30%, folks. They haven't donated or don't plan to either. And that's a big number this year. A lot of that has to do with just the economy, not a lot of disposable money, etc. So 30% there as well. So just to bring it to your attention, if you do have a little bit, you need to offset some money you made this year, etc. Charitable giving is down this year. And I'm not disparaging you if you don't give or anything to that effect. Just wanted to make you aware of that as you're making decisions here coming up to the end of the year. Now let's get into a couple sports stuff out there. Well, the NBA came out this morning and they said that they're going to move forward with a joint exploration of a new professional men's league over in Europe. It's going to be in partnership with the International Basketball Federation. That's what you know as FIBA, if you follow international basketball at all or heard of it, FIBA. The NBA said it plans to start the process of engaging with prospective teams and ownership groups coming up in January. Franchise values, by the way, they could start upwards of $1 billion. $1 billion to start an NBA franchise overseas there in Europe as well. Oof, $1 billion. At the NBA Cup last week in Las Vegas, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, he said JP Morgan and the Rain Group have been actively meeting with interested parties over in Europe. There's a lot of positive interest, they say, in moving forward with this deal. The bankers have met with at least 70 potential investors out there. Discussions began about a year and a half ago. The goal is to take non-binding bids next month and vote on green-lighting the league at the Board of Governors meeting in March. That's obviously, it's kind of like the WNBA. The NBA is majority owner of that league, and the owners benefits from the WNBA franchises having success out there. Now they're looking at a FIBA league overseas in Europe. I don't necessarily think that's bad, by the way. Now they're cultivating, soccer team owners and things over there in Europe to take these over and kind of grow that league. But look, if you're, G League here, and if you're on that next level, right, you go over there, play in Europe to kind of try to earn that spot up there. Not necessarily a bad thing, but $1 billion franchise opening. Whew, yikes. Hey, other local news here, right? Arizona State University football team got kind of, yeah, a lot of people are hot for Kenny Dillingham these days. Well, if you missed the news this weekend, on Saturday, Kenny Dillingham signed a 5-year contract extension. It's going to raise his salary to an average of $7.5 million per year. He's at about $6 million going into next year with his bonuses from this year. So $1.5 million per year increase. But more importantly, the salary pool for his assistants, it's up to $11 million. That's one of the highest salary pools for assistants in the Big 12. And Kenny's one of the highest paid coaches in the Big 12 now as well. So not only that, though, other little details that come out, college programs are getting general managers. Arizona just hired a general manager last week down there in Tucson. Well, ASU has filled a GM position. It's an internal hiring there, but he's going to have responsibilities like, transfer portal, budgets, things to that effect out there. Take some stuff off the head coach's hands out there. So Kenny Dillingham's here to stay in Tempe here, at least for a few more years, hopefully, before he stays forever, maybe, right? Hey, our last story today, I told you, local company went on the Russell 2K. Well, it's a company called Fold Holdings, Inc. They're a Bitcoin financial services company, and they make it easy for individuals to earn, save, spend Bitcoin through everyday financial tools. That's what they do. They announced that they are now included in the Russell 2000 Index. The Russell 2000 Index, I call it the Russell 2K, right? Most people call it that. It's composed of a diversified group of small cap U.S. stocks. It does represent approximately 5 to 7% of the market capitalization of U.S. public equities. It's used by mutual funds, ETFs, and other asset managers. It's a benchmark for the small cap market. Hey, Will Leaves, he's the chairman and CEO of Fold. He came out and commented on this announcement that, quote, Fold's inclusion in the Russell 2000 Index is a significant milestone that further validates our position as a successful public company. We expect index inclusion to broaden market awareness and increase visibility among institutional and retail investors. Local company looking at and getting in on that Russell 2K index as well. Always good when you get moved onto an index. That means you have consistency, they have faith in you. Local company making it big into that market. And folks, here at McCollum on Business, we appreciate you joining us here for the year of 2025. Like I said, no plans for any other shows until, I believe that date is January 5th, that Monday. Coming up, it is Monday the 5th is when we will definitely be back here with McCollum on Business. If anything happens, well, over the holidays, we might throw up a quick emergency show out there, but we are done for the year here. And appreciate you joining us. We're gonna, like I said, work on some set stuff, work on some other things to kind of change the show around a little bit and make it a little bit more entertaining for you going into the 2026 year. Appreciate you joining us. If we don't see you here at McCollum on Business, we'll definitely see you January 5th here coming up. Main Event does have some shows left in the year, so don't forget to tune in for that as well. Real Matrix as well this Wednesday at noon coming your way as well, folks. We aren't done for the year yet overall. We'll see you then, right? Follow me at SMAC500 on the socials. Gotta keep the posting up there. If we do an emergency show, I'll post it for you. Otherwise, we'll see you on the 5th, everybody. Have a great holiday weekend. Have a great one, everyone. See ya in the new year.